Hello, and thank you for being here today to greet the week. I am Mona Duncan, and today we're going to be talking about. I've done a program that I do for different places, and it's called the pleasure pain syndrome. Because as human beings, we have a tendency to want to have as much pleasure, good time, success as we possibly can, while at the same time trying to avoid as much pain and heartache and that kind of stuff. So it's several sessions. I got 12 and 10 or 12. And I thought I would just break them down and do, a short 10, 15 minutes thought on each one. And so, looking today, starting off with the importance of behavior, and that it is a part of the pleasure pain syndrome, and it is looking at. So, all we do is behave. This is in conjunction with the concepts of Dr. William Glasser, the founder of reality therapy and choice theory. And Dr. Glasser says that all of our behavior is total, meaning that the total behavior is made up of four components. And the thoughts we think, the actions we take, the feelings we feel, and our physiology. We are a complete being, even though in this, our little car shows that the thinking and the acting is toward the front, because that's where we look where we're going to go and think about what we're going to do, and then our feelings and our physiology follows behind. So the importance of behavior. This is a quote from Dr. Glasser, and he said, we control the world for by. So I left that out for you to think about. What do you think that whenever you're wanting something or when you're trying to find something, that you are trying to control the world for what? And how are you doing it? Well, we control the world for what we need, and or sometimes it's more frivolous than a need. It's something that we want, and we're trying to control, either to save enough money to buy it or to convince someone to do something for us. That we control the world for what we need or sometimes for what we want by the way we behave. And our behavior is actions that we take in an attempt to get a need met. And we may not even have the definition of what that need's going to be, but it's something that we know that we don't know that we know. And so we may be trying to get a need met without even realizing that it involves our behavior. And so those avenues of expression, the mind does the thinking, or it considers the issues and the directions of life. We're having our behavior car, and all of these parts, all of these are affected. We have a will, or we have actions. I will do this, I will not do that. And it determines what we will act upon in the issues of life. And then we also have emotions as to whether we're delighted or saddened or just melancholy. And it's how we feel about the various issues of life. And then, of course, our body is a combination of everything. It's our physiology. It's what keeps us alive. It's the heart beating. It's the blood flowing. It's the elimination. It's everything that keeps our body healthy and active. And it's the body, the physiology gives us the answers of being sick or being healed, or how we respond to the issues of life. So in looking at nature nurture, what is it, how much of it is all by our DNAs, or how much is it by our thinking? So thought we'd look at the nature, which is basically the DNA, and our nurturing. We've been nurtured. Babies need to be touched. Everybody needs to be touched, but babies especially need to be touched and cuddled. That it helps them to grow. And then our nurture also is things that we learn through things we see, the way we encounter. And so under the DNA, that includes our appearance and our associates, what we look like, what our skin color is, how tall we grow, uh, our appearance, short, not, or whatever. Anyway, the nature part of growing is our temperament. Everybody has a temperament, meaning our personality type, our talents that we have, the giftings, the different mannerisms that we display. And then, of course, our basic needs. And these are universal. Everybody in the world has an appearance, has a temperament, and has basic needs. And those basic needs from Dr. William Glasser, that was defined as 5 needs. And they're not wants, they're needs. We absolutely need these. We need to survive, to keep on breathing. We need to love and to be loved, whether that is a tremendous amount or, even just for a few. We have a need for power and purpose, for freedom and fun, and for enjoying and making choices. And so then looking at our nature, we have learned many of our attitudes. We have learned what we value and or don't have as much inclination toward things. And we have learned a whole lot of our behaviors from the way others have taught us or influenced us. And so control theory, psychology, states that these needs literally drive our behavior. And so that can kind of go back up in, I don't want to take all those apart. Goes back up into looking at the fact that we look at our body as our behavior car. It is what literally drives our behavior to be effective or ineffective. And we attempt to control the world to get our needs met. So, what is behavior? Let's just look at a few things as to what, I'm sure there's many more than what I have come up with. That our behavior is chosen. We choose, yes, I will do this. No, I will not do that. Our behavior, to a very large extent, is purposeful, meaning it is for a purpose. It has a meaning behind it that we may not be as cognizant of. We may not have been using our thinking to be real cognizant of the fact that the way we behave is purposeful. It is an attempt to get a need met. And there may be we may not even know what that need is. It's just there's something there. Have you ever been hungry for something? Only you weren't really hungry for food, but you were looking all through the cabinets and the refrigerator because there was something that was gnawing within that you wanted to satisfy. So our behavior is an attempt to get our needs met. It is for others to look at and to see and observe that it's pretty much a thermostat of how we're feeling. We may not have the words for it, but the way we behave and act can gives more definition to it. It acts out what often cannot be said in words. It becomes, and as we continually do these type of behaviors and so forth, they become ingrained and habitual, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant, whether they are positive or whether they are negative. And, it's always good to evaluate and see, is this something I'm wanting to keep? And then they may interfere with other needs that we have. Because, you can only do so much. You may make an agreement to do something. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do something else. And then don't always have enough time in which to do that. Our behavior appears to be difficult to change. Sometimes we think, well, I can't do that. And there may be some legitimacy to it, but mostly it's just I'm not wanting to right now. There's varying responsibilities and varying irresponsibilities. Sometimes you may be really responsible for the job that you had and rather irresponsible with friends and neighbors and other things. Our behavior can be active or passive. Our behavior is conscious or unconscious. We are, to a large degree, aware of what we're doing, yet to a very other large degree, we are not cognizant of, we are not really aware of what we're saying or doing or becoming. But our life and our behavior and our actions and our tone of voice is somewhat predictable. And that our DNA and our RNA join forces together to help us to become the best that we can be. So what about what is the spectrum of behavior? If there's a problem that needs to be solved, are you a quick thinker? Do you just go down to the bottom line to see what it is? Or is it more suspicious and calculating? What about interacting with people on an ongoing basis? Are you outgoing and spontaneous, or are you more conscious and reserved? All of these are part of our behaviors, but it depends on which spectrum, which end of the way we are. What about the pace of how we do things? Are we flexible or are we rigid? Is it unstructured, or does it have to be very predictable and it needs to be this way? And if there could be several in a family that would be more to the left and others that are more to the right, that can help with the behaviors and the attitudes toward one another. How about how you process things? Do you have to take it out and handle it and look at it and find out all about it? Or is it just rather cautious and outside the box? So there are several other ways that includes our spectrum of behavior, how much energy we have, our moods, how predictable we are, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the difficulty of behaving is that our needs are universal. They're generic, they're general. Our needs overlap each other. Sometimes hunger overlaps the need to work. Sometimes, and they're conflicting. Our internal motivators are met through external behavior. See, we have this internal, what I need. But to have those needs met, we need to use some, well, think of food. We can't live without eating. But that's an internal thing. We need to take that food internally. If we take too much, it definitely works on our overall health. But the internal motivators are met through external behaviors. Even though whether it's love and belonging, we have that internal motivator to be loved and to be cared for and to be understood. But it's accomplished through an external behavior of thinking about it, talking it out, interacting. And a person pursues these internal motivators unconsciously. Now that's kind of the what? What are you talking about? I have these needs. We have the need for power and for fun but we're not aware of it. Sometimes and then we pursue these internal motivators are often pursued and or are often brought about in destructive ways. So here is a saying that John Maxwell has that I find to be so valuable. That we as people, we have these needs, and we do these things, but sometimes we begin to realize that, hey, I need to make some changes in life. And that people change it only when it hurts enough you have to, you learn enough you want to, and you receive enough that you are able to. So all behavior is purposeful, meaning that we have some purpose, even though we cannot give verbiage to it. We have some purpose behind that attitude or that behavior, which includes the attitude. And so learning about the theory of choosing everything we do, choice theory, helps you to become aware of your internal motivators. You can dramatically change your perspective and you can gain effective control. And this allows for rapid changes in many areas. As we begin to look at what we want versus what we need versus what we want. As we begin to really look at, is it a stimulus? Is it something that is needful, or is it a demand that is something that is frivolous. And in looking at the very word need, uh, that our behavior, the way we behave, the way we think, what we see as essential or necessary or a requirement or a prerequisite or all those kind of things, whether or not what we are wanting or what we are pursuing with our behavior, is it, is it a reality? And so I wanted to end our little chat here this morning by a quote from Richard Rohr. And the title that the article that he wrote was "Contemplation Changes Everything." That our behavior really, I mean, as we begin to think about how we behave, and to contemplation can change everything. But he started off in the article of Richard Rohr. He started off by talking about neurosurgeon Eben Alexander and something that he wrote. And he wrote, saying, "True thought is not the brain's affair, but we have, in part by the brain itself, been so trained to associate our brains with what we think and who we are that we have lost the ability to realize that we are so much more than our thinking and our doing." And then Richard Rohr added to that, saying, "In this moment, in every moment, we are much more than our physical brain and our physical body." And so, think you can do that? Well, I think you can. I'm going to close this for a minute. And thank you for being here. And I hope this has given you some thoughts to really think about, that we are so much more than just a human being. We're an essence. We're a being. We're a spirit. And which direction do we take it, positive or negative? And which way do we use it in our conscious? We have the conscious and the supposedly unconscious, or again, with Dr. Glasser, he termed it the creative conscious. It's that creativity that's what we may not even be aware of, that is giving us new ideas and new ways to think about something. So to contemplate, and in looking for the pleasure pain syndrome, that we can handle the pleasure and the pain in ways that are beneficial to health and healing. So thanks for being here, and many blessings, and many blessings.